This year's election is different because every campaign now makes use of more digital data. The Washington Post says Ted Cruz, despite spending less on ads than his opponents, has had more success because he uses big data. So what is that? Well, it's what helped President Obama get elected. Liberal techies found new ways to target individual voters. And now Cruz's campaign says we're doing that and more. And they showed it to us.
Ted Cruz for president, how may I help you?
We followed Cruz campaign workers in Iowa and Texas to see how they use the new technology.
You're going to see the political team get real stressed in the next few days.
A lot of us have used campaign data throughout our careers, but to really truly invest our campaign into the daily use of that is very difficult to do because often data is incongruent with your instincts.
Jeff Rowe, Cruz's campaign manager, no longer trusts his political instinct. Now his team wants data.
There's been times, even in the past couple of weeks, where we've had like a gut instinct on something that we thought, hey, we should go do this. But we have the patience now to wait a day, day and a half till we get some data on it to see if it's actually effective.
It used to be politicians used to sit in the back of a car and wave to people on the parade route. Now they get out of the car, shake their hand, put a piece of candy in the kid's hand so the mother and father warm up to the candidate to speak.
And now his team goes further. They try to figure out which of those people might like Cruz.
That allows us to take out all the noise, not have to jump out of the car and go start shaking hands on the road, to use that example, but actually get out of the car, walk to one person who on this parade route will be able to be motivated, and then use the precise language and method to communicate to them. Ted Cruz says what he's going to say wherever he goes. Not a syllable that changes at all. Not a joke that changes, unfortunately, for those that hear him repeatedly.
I spent most of last week in Washington, D.C., so it is great to be back in America.
And not any stories that change. What it changes is our application, our ability to attract crowds for him.
Big data tells him where Cruz should campaign.
It is impossible for me to send him to the wrong congressional district in Tennessee. I would have to override so many systems to send him to the wrong town in Tennessee with the data analytics that we have. So when you say how has data impacted the campaign, it's turned it on its head.
The Romney campaign had data analytics too, but Rose says they hardly used it.
The Mitt Romney campaign is you spent north of $50 million on data and data analytics, and they asked one of the senior strategists, what did you do with that data? He said, oh, we didn't use it for what we were doing. They didn't use it in advertising, they didn't use it in communication, they didn't use it on the ground. It's like buying a brand new car and not driving it. Obama won because he was essentially unopposed. He scored a touchdown, but the other team wasn't even on the field. Now Republicans have decided, finally, to participate there, and now we are dominating digital media.
Many people say that's why Cruz won in Iowa.
All kinds of data analytics is clearly helping him tonight.
Just a year ago, Republicans won the Senate, and yet the way we're campaigning already this cycle is exponentially greater in terms of advancement and reliance on digital or data.
To save volunteers time, the Cruz campaign focuses only on potentially sympathetic voters. They figure that out by buying consumer marketing data from businesses. Once they know what magazines you buy, things you like on Facebook, they can predict your politics. They researched me.
So that actually, from a candidate preference model, he would be a key Cruz target. My speculation is he leans a little bit more libertarian.
Yes, no kidding.
He's more open to freedom.
I don't like Cruz's eagerness to bomb.
We will carpet bomb them into oblivion. We will
his anger at illegal immigrants, his support for the drug war. So Wilson might not have his volunteers spend time talking to me. On the other hand,
there's one group of people that vote 65% plus Republicans, people who go to church more than once a week. They really don't live together. So you have to go find those people.
Ted Cruz found those people in Iowa and got them to show up at caucuses. Campaign volunteers like Carol made that happen, but they had to learn new things.
I'm, of the old school, dial the number and talk and write things down on paper.
No more, says the campaign's research director.
Every single person on here is identified in terms of how we're going to reach them, number of times we're going to touch them through television, direct mail, online, over the telephone.
If I can learn this, anybody can.
What, some candidates say no, don't use data?
There is a bit of a lack of understanding of it. Don't know what you're going to do. You're going to go scare people because they think that we're being intrusive.
I believe others have data. I'm sure you can go to other campaign offices and talk to them, but they will not have it as baked into their campaign plan as we do, where we can't operate without it.
The data tells volunteers which arguments to make with each voter.
I wanted to call you to tell you about Ted's position on Barack Obama's executive orders on immigration.
The phone screen gives volunteers a script.
Now that you know where Ted stands on amnesty, can I tell him that you're going to vote for him on caucus
The volunteer
night?
pushes buttons based on the voter's answer. Technology in the phone sends that information back to this man's computer.
Saves me about 2 to 3 hours a night.
It saves door-to-door campaigners even more time.
It shows every voter in the household, and it shows which voter we want to talk to.
So the volunteers visit those voters only.
Can Ted count on your support at the caucus?
They're the people who, if we can get them motivated, make them believe it's worth their
Call them
time.
up in the morning, drive them to the polls?
Whatever it takes. We'll go to their house. We'll bug them until they either turn out to vote or get a restraining order against us.
They don't actually go that far, but they do now devote almost all their energy to that sliver of sympathetic voters and then do whatever they can to get them to vote.